It is a Firekeepers Casino Friday. We're with world correspondent Nicky Hale in our Gillespie Group storefront studio. You can see her on Fox 47 television if you're in the Lansing area, or at MichiganTalkNetwork.com, or her own Facebook page, which is
world correspondent Nicky Hale.
at when you just go to Facebook, you put that in.
Just
World
plug it in,
correspondent
search, and it should
Nicky
come
Hale.
right up.
Nicki.
Nicky.
You
the
put the
boy
Y.
way. Yes, I spell it the boy way. I always have done.
Nicky Hale. The governor is in France, and then she's going to Sweden on a little trade mission, and she's going to be trying to connect us with some French businesses there. There's a group she's speaking to called the American Chamber, and there are Michigan companies like General Electric and Dow and Delphi and some others. But before she left to go to France, which is a great place to go, by the way, I think I've always heard people say, well, I bet you the French are rude. They think they're rude. And that stereotype has perpetuated itself. Do you find that to be true? Because I don't.
No, I don't actually. I think it's all about perspective, and people have different, ways of being. And it's not that they're rude; it's just that they're a little more polite, I think, and they're more strict in the way that they act. They're not as rowdy. I think it's the same thing that people think food in England is not great, and
that's
it's not
changed.
true anymore.
It used to be that
it
way.
It used to be,
It's changed
30
now.
years ago.
Yeah, but these stereotypes live on and on and on. They
do.
get perpetuated.
They do. Yes.
I think one of the best ways, don't you, if you're going to go to France, is learn a little bit of French instead of
Exactly.
barging in there and speaking, English.
Exactly, and do things the way they do them, as opposed to taking on your own things. So.
The other thing that I think is you can't wear tennis shoes in Paris. Just
Right.
don't do it.
They're a little more uppity, more strict. That's what I was trying to get at. I think it's not acceptable. Like we are here, a lot of people wear sportswear everywhere. No matter where you're going, it's acceptable to wear your athletic gear. And there are a lot of places in Europe that's not acceptable. It's not socially acceptable to go to the supermarket in your pajamas, for example.
If I were to walk down the Champs-Élysées in this jacket and shorts, and I would be, no wonder they would turn their nose up at me.
Well, they know you're a tourist, right?
Yeah, immediately.
They
Oh,
count,
God, there's
yes.
an ugly American again. Look what he's doing to our beautiful. Because when you walk around Paris, everything's beautiful.
Right.
The shops, the restaurants, the cafes, the flowers, the
Yes.
scents, and to have somebody walking through there with tennis shoes and, a sweatshirt,
Well,
it's a pitiful clash.
Well, I think they take pride in what they do, which is basically fashion and food. And
Right.
and to go with that, there's a sense of dressing appropriately and acting appropriately to go with that, I think.
So I hope the governor's dressed nicely. I'm sure she is.
Oh, I'm sure she
for her
does. And
trip
she's a
there.
great speaker, too, so she should do great.
Before she left, though, she left the idea that maybe we should have a moratorium on foreclosures in the state of Michigan until we get the bank situation all straightened out. I know you have some financial connections in your profession. What do you think about the idea of freezing foreclosures at the moment? Rick Snyder doesn't like it. Verge Bernero does.
It's a difficult thing because I think it needs to be analyzed by customer, because there are situations where, yes, it's based off the economy and they've had an impact because they've lost their job because of what's happened in the last 2 years. However, there are people out there that actually don't pay their mortgage, don't want to pay their bills. So it needs to be really looked at. Is this a client of the bank that is in a situation not in their control, or is it somebody who really should not have had a mortgage in the first place? And I think that's what it comes down to. Freezing it overall to stop and pause and take a look. Yeah, that's a good idea. Probably, yeah.
So, because it's a huge amount. I mean, it's growing all the time.
Yes, it is. I think
We don't have the infrastructure in banking to really. I mean, who expected this?
No, and that's one of the reasons that you're seeing a lot of the major regional banks struggling right now, because they're taking a huge hit on this, because all those clients that were paying in money on their mortgages on a monthly basis are no longer. Now they have these properties and nobody's buying them. So it's a roll-on effect, basically. And then if your bank's struggling, then what then? It's a knock-on effect like dominoes. So
Things are so tough that Her Majesty has canceled her Christmas party. Are you kidding?
Yes. No, actually. And they are saying this is more of a political thing.
Yeah?
Than a necessity from the Queen. But what she's saying is, people are struggling, and it's about $80,000 to do her Christmas party on an annual basis, and it usually is more for her servants than anybody else. She spends time with them. She'll dance
nice.
with them. It's very nice. But she's saying this is an extravaganza that really, with the way things are going and all the cuts that are going on, she shouldn't be doing. So she's decided to cut it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I wonder if a lot of corporations have canceled their Christmas parties and their office parties, or maybe turn them into potluck or something like that.
Potluck, or everybody pull in a little bit of money if that's what they want to do.
The Queen didn't always care about political correctness. Has she become more sensitive?
Yeah, I think when Princess Diana died, she got a lot of flack for being, I think, quiet and muted over that, and not actually showing any emotion over the tragedy that was, and not reacting to how the public reacted to that. So I think they've been coaching her over the years and saying, "Come on, you've got to show some sort of sensitivity. People look up to you," and I think they're working towards that a little bit more and saying you've got to go with the ways of the world in somewhat.
Cancel the Christmas party for the servants, but bring my Bentley. I want to go up to Edinburgh.
Yeah, no, she's
to
been traveling by
Balmoral.
train a lot, hasn't she?
Oh, has she really?
Yes, she's been cutting down on the way she's been traveling as well. So I think overall she's taking a good look at the way she lives her life, and she's trying to reflect more, I suppose, how the British public wants her to be.
I'd like to see a potluck at Buckingham Palace since she can't afford the party.
I mean, what would you take?
I'd just like to see everybody bring a dish, from home, and I would like to see her walk down the table with a plate and scoop out, a macaroni casserole or something like that.
Right. See
That
if she
would be
actually
fun.
tried every single dish.
On paper plates. Yeah,
Right.
that would be great. And brownies, whatever everybody brings, that would be
Yeah.
hilarious. Now, she can't afford the party, but you said that party was $80,000?
Approximately, that's what they said, yeah.
There's a bottle of whiskey that sold for $100,000 or more, basically.
Yes, they just sold 2 bottles, and they went to very, very quickly. And actually, now the distillery is saying, "Wait a minute, did we sell them too cheaply?" But this is the most expensive bottle of whiskey ever sold before. I mean, wine we've seen fetch more money, but whiskey generally has not been big in the market. But now it's the trendy drink. If you're becoming wealthy or you're becoming a little bit of status in a financial world, your drink of choice now is apparently whiskey, and so people are starting to invest.
I knew I was ahead of the curve.
See, you do. I knew you were right. I thought when I saw this, I thought of you immediately.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so these 2 gentlemen jumped on the bandwagon here and bought these 2 bottles at £100,000 each. I think it was.
The Dalmore?
Yes, Dalmore 64. So it was. They were actually. Is the correct word brew? I don't know.
That's $35,000 or more for one measure.
One measure, yes.
And in England, when they pour you a measure, it's a slender little pinky finger of a measure.
Actually, it's £7,000 for a double.
For a
Can
double.
you imagine picking up that bar tab?
No. Although, if the Queen can't have that kind of whiskey, she could have got a wedding cake at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if somebody walked into the Buckingham Palace with a McDonald's bag?
Apparently, McDonald's in Hong Kong get a lot of requests.
For catering.
For catering for weddings. People say, "Hi, we met here. Can we get married here?" I mean, I just can't see it.
All right.
There's even suggestions of using the French fries for the for the first bite or something like that, and topping the wedding cake with French fries.
Really?
I don't know. Not my cup of tea.
Isn't that something?
But hey, if it's gonna work, is it about $400 to get married at McDonald's?
Much better than the price of the Queen's Christmas party. Another Halloween costume I suspect you may see this year, too, based on current events, is the Chilean miners costume.
Yes.
You would think, wouldn't you?
Yes. I could do that, actually.
Those guys came up looking pretty good, didn't they?
They were prepped. They sent stuff down there. They got them.
Shaving cream and everything.
Do you think?
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah. They had a lot of time to get some things down there prior to the actual first.
Like the Oakley sunglasses?
Yes, the Oakley sunglasses.
I heard that suggested that's pretty good product placement for Oakley.
Yeah, the green outfits.
Yeah.
But, the nice thing for them, I think, is they're never going to have to do that again. They're going to get some nice financial reward for being stuck down there for 70 days. And I heard that their book deal that's already out there is going to earn them about $20,000 each, and their average annual salary was about $11,000.
Wow.
So that's a nice payday for them.
It would be nice. I heard there was squabbling about, who would get the media contracts. It would be nice if they banded together and said, look, let's share everything we got from this. Wouldn't that be nice?
I think they're in talks to do that.
Are
but
they?
There's one young gentleman, isn't there, that's I think just in his early 20s, who's now become the heartthrob for all the young Chilean girls. So
really?
I think he will probably get separated from the pack. I don't see how they can hold that back.
Stardom.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying to Troy this morning in the film, they're going to have Shia LaBeouf play him or something.
I'd like to know all the details of what went on down there, to tell you the truth. It's
Yeah.
a grim thing to think
Horrible.
about.
Yeah. I mean, how did they sleep? Things like that. I mean, it must have been horrific.
33 people in a room this size.
Yes.
Underground with 90-degree temperatures and humidity and all the rest.
Yes, exactly. It's amazing, actually, that only one of them is actually quite sick.
We had a private spaceship go up.
Yeah, no, this is Richard Branson, as usual, trying to pioneer something going on. And yeah, he's been working on this for quite a while. He has Virgin Galactic, and he's trying to go out and do private flights out into space. And this is, I think, the third or fourth time they've taken the ship up into the outer atmosphere, not actually space. And they drop it from an airplane and watch it go. They did not actually set off the jets, but the flight was successful. So $200,000 per passenger. Apparently.
There was a guy this week that was going to parachute from the edge of space. He was going to take a balloon up to 120,000 feet and then jump out. And something happened. There was a technicality. He couldn't do it. But can you imagine people try that thing?
It'd be crazy. You'd have to wear a mask, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because it's freezing cold up there, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. World correspondent Nicky Hale this morning. Disappointed because the Queen's not having the Christmas party, so she won't be invited. 35 after the hour.